guys, Brandon here with Exotic Cars 19, making a video I've been wanting to make for quite some time now. I think through Instagram, my friend and I, the owner of this truck, I've kind of like shown it quite a bit through Instagram, and I actually uploaded a point of view drive video on this truck, but I've been wanting to make this video because it's going to segue into a future video, as I'll explain. But in short, I am in a 2019 Ford Raptor, and quite a bit has changed for 2019, so I've been really looking forward to making this review. In fact, the last review I made on a Raptor other than my own was on the 2017 Raptor Baja, so that's changed quite a bit since then, even on the more basic Raptor. Quite a bit's happened since 2017 to the 19 model. So I just want to kind of run through some specs here and there, but before I do, like I said, this is owned by my friend Steven, same guy who's actually had the Performante 675 LT and the Baja Raptor, so I'll go ahead and plug his Instagram. Feel free to follow him. That's Supercar Steven on Instagram. I'll go ahead and throw a screenshot here, and you follow me while you're at it. That's Exotic Cars 19. With all the plugs out of the way though, let's go ahead and get into this Raptor. Before we dive into it, I think we should probably go through some of the things that he's done to make it different than one that you're going to buy off the lot, because he's had it for 5,000 miles now and it's already changed up quite a bit. So let's run through it. All right, so I guess we'll start with the wheels. He put on some Venomrex VR 601s, and they're painted in Highland bronze. That's to replace the, I guess we'll kind of go into some of the things that make the 19 the 19. For 2019, they put some beadlock wheels as an option as well. And those came fitted with some BF Goodrich KO2s, which are the ones that, you know, I'm most familiar with. But the way he's got it set up is quite effective as well, and looks really, really good on this color, which is, in case you guys were wondering, it's new for 2019 as well. This is Ford Performance Blue. It's actually the same blue that they debuted the Ford GT in back in, I believe it was 16. That's a 17-year model. Velocity Blue and Agate Black are also new colors for 19. But I have to say, the way that he's equipped this with the wheels and on this Ford Performance Blue looks really cool. Almost looks like it's almost homage to like rally cars of like Super Double X. Obviously not the same blue and gold bronze, but it's close and it's kind of cool. From the short driving we've already done, not sure if you could hear. Also not stock. So yeah, some things have been done to get the pitch the way it is. So let's start with the exhaust. So it's got a Corsa Xtreme exhaust, so gotten rid of the resonators. It's also got AFE downpipes and the AFE cold air intake, which claims to add 30 horsepower. What you just heard is the Turbosmart blow-off valves. Yeah, they're quite loud. In fact, it's actually hilarious off-roading. I think I got some phone video I'll probably throw in here just to suffice for now, but on the launch, on the jump, you just hear it whenever you let off the throttle. They're quite loud. They're actually louder from the outside too, so you gotta own it. But yeah, it's just a really noisy truck now. It makes kind of all different kinds of sounds, but that's the way you get the 3.5 to really make some sounds under the underpass or whatever. It's pretty crazy. Other than that, just a couple little cosmetic things. Some Baja Design lights, reverse lights, and some fog lights up front. So that's gonna make the auxiliary switches useful on top here. You got 6 of them for this generation. I believe you're limited to 4 on the Gen 1. I'll stop comparing the Gen 1. That's for a separate video, as I keep saying. But yeah, that's the things that are gonna make this truck different than one that you're gonna buy off the showroom floor. So with all that out of the way, we get more analytical with 2019s as a whole. I would say probably one of the biggest differences as well from a 18 to a 19 is the suspension has changed drastically. You could probably make a YouTube video just on its own talking about impressions on the suspension, but it's something that Fox calls live valve. Pretty much, in short, it's the first in a Raptor, first that we've seen anyway from previous Raptors that have like magnetic ride control and live adjustability, so it's always adapting every milliseconds. It just does thousands and thousands of corrections to get it to adapt differently. That's one reason I love the GT350 so much. The new Corvettes are doing that. A lot of new cars now just have the magnetic ride control, so you could always kind of, well, I'll say this, for a performance car, it's different because you could stiffen it up for track, lighten up for, you know, daily driving. On a truck, it's really helpful because, you know, as you're doing like turns on the road, even doesn't have to be off-road to see the advantages, that your body roll is really mitigated because what happens on one side is going to be contrasted with the other. So it actually drives much more, I don't know, just flat like an SUV, not so much a tall truck with soft suspension. When you're off-roading though, again, because they adjust like so fast on the fly, it's just always really good for its situation, whether you're like going through a bunch of big bumps or trying to slide the tail out or what have you. It seems to always be really controlled. So the new shocks alone help a ton. Cosmetically, they're gonna look a little bit different. Instead of like blue accents, they're gonna have orange accents as well. So that's a quick way to tell a 19 from the others, unless someone just put the live valve in there. So also new for 19, you get different seat options. Well, you have the Recaro option, but even the standard seat design-wise changed a little bit. You have like these honeycomb inserts that look really, really good. But, you know, as Raptors have always been, they're just really comfortable. The Recaros, though, they look really, really cool. They have like blue Alcantara accenting and everything. Really curious to see how those feel. But yeah, I haven't even seen those in person yet. So you have trail control for like, you know, descending down. You also have a Wi-Fi hotspot. And that's gonna be pretty much the main changes. MSRP's changed as well, but with all that, it's pretty well justified. I think you're looking at about $2,200 above the starting price of the previous year. That alone for the suspension though, that's completely justified. What happens when you go up to the 19 for just a live valve alone, $2,200 is more than justified. So that's gonna be the entry into it. I think your total MSRP now is, if I have to check, about 52,000 and change or so to start. And then this one right here, the way it's set out with, you know, the configuration, super cab versus crew cab and all that kind of stuff. This one out the door, pretty much fully loaded, is running around 72 and change. So that's kind of where it's at. So not, once you get all the options and everything together, not drastically different from the previous year, but I think the differences are more so. So if you waited this long to, you know, you've been holding off on a Raptor, I think if you waited till 19, I think it's a good time to jump on board one, because the differences are drastic enough. So that's the quick things to make the 19 a 19. I guess we can just kind of skim through some of the stuff that just make a Gen 2 that, and kind of all the specs across the board for that regard. The Gen 2 introduced the EcoBoost into the Raptor as the only engine option. That's going to be the 3.5 liter EcoBoost, twin turbocharged. So the new generations with this engine are pushing 450 horsepower and 510 pound-feet of torque. So yeah, less displacement, but because of the twin turbochargers and the way that they're set up, kind of the way things are going nowadays, is yeah, it is more efficient and does produce more power. So to talk about performance real quickly, yeah, 0 to 60 on the pavement will happen in 5.3 seconds. Top speeds electronically limited at just over 100 miles an hour, but if it wasn't, I don't know what it would get to. It's not really made for that. I guess the impressive part is the speed that it can do off-road. All right, and of course, with the 3.5 liter EcoBoost, they're obviously trying to save polar bears, in which they might with 15 miles to the gallon city and 18 highway. Let's see what this one's averaging. Okay, this one here with its first 5,000 miles is averaging 12.2. However, I will vouch for this one. This one's had quite a fun first 5,000 miles. I think the break-in was taken fairly seriously the first 1,000. But yeah, we used it quite a bit to film a lot on off-road and all that. So the throttle's been mashed quite a bit. If you tried, I'm sure you'll be getting over 15 miles to the gallon. Because I think my truck, the Gen 1 of 14 with the 6.2, I think it's advertised, shoot, I think it's 13.15, 13.16, something like that. I'm personally averaging 12.7. I haven't been the nicest on it either, but if I wanted to, I think the best I could ever do is like 13.5. So this one should be more efficient, just not with the current owner situation. So you heard the shift there. That's another difference as well. These are now using the 10-speed transmission that kind of saw some glitches in their early models, but from seeing this one and kind of hearing some other Gen 2 owners of the later years, the new 10 speed is pretty much dialed in now. The shifts are really fast, responsive. What the heck? Let's see the paddle shifters. I actually haven't used the paddle shifters on this one. Or maybe I did before break-in. They're pretty responsive on the downshifts, not too bad. Will it allow second gear? You guys can see for yourselves. I mean, it's not like a supercar dual clutch by any means, but for a truck, I mean, if you needed to be at a certain gear for a certain torque delivery, it's plenty fine. One impressive thing is, if you would think, you know, being a 10-speed, you think it would just be shifting all the time. Sometimes it seems like that, but then other times it just seems like it holds gears for so long. So I can only imagine like the last few gears, probably overdrive gears for fuel economy. All right, so to be honest, I feel like I ran through pretty much all the specs that make a 19 a 19 and just what make a Gen 2 a Gen 2. Really just kind of want to drive around in it and kind of tell you my impressions, whether it helps that I own a 14 Raptor. It's up to you guys, but I'm not terribly biased at all. I think I like to give the owner of this truck a hard time because that's what you do, but I'm actually a massive fan of the Gen 2s. I've always kind of said that if I were in the market for a brand new truck, had to get a warranty with no miles and all that, I wouldn't look at any other truck but a Raptor. Again, I'm not going to compare them too much, but one cool thing about these Gen 2s is now it's got this like larger dual panel panoramic sunroof. When you open it up, even if it's just, you know, the glass is closed, but you just have like this really nice greenhouse effect, and just looking around, your visibility is like really great, and it's just not cumbersome at all to drive. Baja mode, that's a fun one. That one's gonna turn all the traction control off right away and gonna put you in 4 high. But you can still be in 2-wheel drive in Baja mode, and that's pretty much the mode that we were in for the majority of the B-roll, where we're kind of spinning the tail out. So yeah, traction's off. The deliveries, torque delivery is usually better because it keeps in higher RPMs by putting it in a lower gear. And just overall, just a much better mode to be in, especially off-road. If you're not trying to get through mud or anything like that, just do that, put it in 2 high. That's probably been my favorite setting this truck has been in. I had a red light here. I'm gonna keep it in Baja in 2 high and throw it down into manual mode. See if torque delivery changes at all. Maybe we should open up one of the windows. Which one is this one? Yeah. Maybe we'll get some more exhaust sound that way. I'm gonna keep the RPMs down because it looks like Mexico, the police department's out. Let's go ahead and see if Baja feels any different on the road. That was a good pop. Damn. That's off the downshifts alone, those pops. That's pretty crazy. Alright, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Still plenty of plans with this truck and the owner very soon here. Yeah, I think this is kind of a good introduction into it, kind of hopefully showed you some of the differences with the 19, or if you guys were watching this not really caring or considering one, hopefully it just kind of showed you something. And again, like I said with my Raptor video, kind of plant the seed in your head, because now I feel like a Raptor salesperson. I think anyone that likes cars should just have one. But yeah, no, really enjoying my time with this one for the brief time I've been driving it, both on and off-road. In fact, off-road, it's a thing of its own. Just drives totally different than the other one. Again, that's, I guess, the segue into talking about future videos. I think the next video I want to do is just have my Raptor and this one both off-road, and we're just going to be talking about even like the mundane differences, like little button changes, but definitely talking about how they drive and their characteristics off-road mostly. So that's probably going to be the future video. So yeah, 14 versus 19 on Raptors, I think that'd be pretty cool. But that'll certainly do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.